Hi, my name is Vicente Campos, and today I'm going to talk about the 16th century of linguistics and the scientific supports that have been presented in this century. First of all, I want to talk about the Italian literature, no, the Italian language. Uh, First, we have El Paragoni della lingua toscana et castigliana de Giovanni Mario Alessandri in 1560. That was one of the first attempts from Italian language to translate into Spanish. And then we have Las Osservazioni della lingua castigliana de Giovanni Miranda in 1566. These were these were the first attempts to translate from Spanish more than from Latin. That was the first language uh, that people tried to translate in this in these years, because the main language was Latin, as we can see from Vocabularium ex Latinum Sermonium Siciliacum and et Hispaniacum de nuo traductum of Lucio Cristofori Escobar. That was a traduction from Latin Spanish to Sicilian. And we have a Venetian edition of 1519 and 1520. Also, in this period, we have the opening of La Academia de la Crusca. That is one of the most prestigious linguistic institution of Italy, that was founded in Florencia in 1583, and it's been characterized for trying to maintain pure the Italian language. That means that they wanted to make it the more original that they can. Also, because in this time we have the colonialism, we have Spanish linguistics and phrase that went into Latin America and come back to Spain with uh, different languages, like from Fray Alonso de Molina in 1547, that made a grammatical from Nahuatl that was between the Mexican and Spanish language. Then we have the art of the lengua totocona from Andrés de Olmos, that was a grammatic from Totonaco. We have the art of the Michoacan language from Maturino Gilberti, 1588, that it's a grammatic from Purepecha. We have the art of the language general of the Peru reigns of Domingo de Santo Tomas in 1560, that is a grammatic from Quechua. And we have the Chinese language, or a manuscript from 1592, or from Juan Cobo. Other uh, other aspect of this is more than the religious way of the divine. It was um, the substantial interest from human beings for the words and the culture from the man who was going to be evangelized. So they tried to understand the language that these people had, because they were going to be evangelized in this period of colonialism. So they have to know some certain parts of the culture. And for the British part, we have in the late 16th century the European languages from a family of related languages, that all of which could be traced back to a single ancient language that over split time into the other languages, or that were not mutually intelligible. In the 16th century saw the publication of the first group of books dedicated to systematic study of the English language, which began with the movement of orthographic reform. In the history of British linguistics, Hearts and Orthographic in 1569 has a special status because it was the first treatise not only focusing on the study of the English language, but also published in English rather than Latin. Like I said, that was the academic lingua franca in Western Europe during that period. Uh, in September 9, 1572, the complete grammar entitled Eman Levis Alvarie Societate Jesu de Institutione Grammatica Libri 3 was first published in Lisboa, this from Portugal. From it obtained an awe-inspiring diffusion during the centuries to follow, not only all over Europe but also in the Americas, like in Brazil, Mexico, and USA, and in Asia, Japan, and China. As an as an as an conclusion, we can say that this period was markedly recognized because colonialism was one of the biggest movement in this period. So languages obviously were going to be uh, studied by the scientifics that study language, obviously. So yeah, this was an important period because many cultures were involved. So yeah, it was an important period, and that's it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Nestor Paredes, and today I am going to talk about the different contributions to the study of linguistics during the 17th century. Firstly, according to history.com, the Hellenic period was a scientific revolution throughout Europe that took place between the 17th and the 19th century, also called the Long 18th century. This long period was remarkable because of the various contributions to science in terms of linguistics, science in general, different thinkers, and many other contributions such as Locke, Galileo Galilei, Thomas Hobbes, Isaac Newton, etc. Secondly, according to Current Trends in Linguistics, a book wrote by Thomas Ziviuk and company and published in 1975, deals with most of the philosophical and linguistic theory overall of the 17th century. Also mentioned that two of the more exceptional thinkers of the period were John Locke and Thomas Hobbes. These two authors agree that words itself don't represent the meaning, but the mental image of the word in terms of arbitrariness. So when we are using, whether it is in speech or writing, we think about this concept because when we look through the object, we cannot associate the word with the object itself. According to the source, mentioning the quote of the book of Puldorf, Gill was the first grammatical throughout work considering the syntax of English. Alexander Gill wanted to treat syntax in a better way and separating the English grammar and syntax out of the Latin influence. So he compares English with Greek, Latin, and other languages of this area. Few important contributions to English grammar and the study of linguistics were in the mid 17th century by Mitch and Lane. Okay, so Mitch tried to carry out first books of French and the grammar and English grammar from the French, and try to contrast English pronunciation out of French pronunciation, since he was a Frenchman living in England. So he wrote different kinds of dictionaries from French, English, French, and as I mentioned before, an English grammar book for the French, because he really emphasized and wanted to encourage the French people and the education of young people to understand another languages, and especially the English language. The word was Lane, a grammarian who tried to carry out another work trying to describe the four states of the universal grammar. The first one was the thing, as he said. The second is the manner of a thing. The third is the action, and the fourth is the manner of the action, referring to the nouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs. One of the most important works and contributions to the study of linguistics was the Melanchthon's Latin grammar prototype, which was used throughout the 17th century, and divided grammar in four parts. The first one was orthopedia, phonological features and grammatical features. Prosodia, which was the stress and syllable features. Third one was the parts of the speech, and the last one was syntaxis. I can conclude that in this period, English became more independent thanks for the different authors and illustrated thinkers all along this period, which was very long. And grammar became a prototype, and pronunciation differed from many languages.
Hi, my name is Tio Concha, and today I'm going to talk about the different contributions to the study of linguistics during the 18th century. As we know, linguistics found its way into sociology, anthropology, language arts, and foreign language learning, teaching, English as a second language, translation and interpretation, and the development of language policy in countries around the world. Due to different things in history, they discover of the relationship of the Indo-European language and the foundation of comparative linguistics is attributed to William Jones, when it's known that he was not the first to realize it. In 1706, Adrian Rulland proposed that the language of Madagascar and the Indonesian archipelago islands had some relationship. Janos Zagnovic proved the kinship between Hungarian and Finn in 1770. In 1776, Liévin Proyard noted the relationship between the African language Kakongo, Laongo, and Kikongo. Jonathan Edwards, for other side, showed that the Algonquian language of North America form a family. Rasmus Rask, a Danish linguist, brought together the different strands of the historical linguistics of the time into a coherent system of principles in order to find some way of establishing the relationship of the language. You might wonder who these people I have just named are, and you will see. William Jones was a linguist and researcher of ancient India. Adrian Rieland was a Dutch cartographer and philologist who, although he never left Netherlands, made significant contributions to linguistics. Jonathan Edwards was a theologian and missionary to Native Americans during colonial time. He's one of the greatest theologians in United States history. The linguistics of the colonial era had other concerns besides the comparison and classification of language. Grammars of both European and colonial languages were written. The missionaries were important in this last task. Non-European language dominated from 16th to the 18th century. Latin grammar was the basis of the missionary grammar tradition. Although the best missionary grammarians were aware of the problems of applying Latin categories and structures in order to language. In conclusion, we could say that the missionaries were very and great inroaders in the spread of colonial linguistics through their travels around the world, with this as a result of what they were saying and learning in different countries. Given all the new things that they were discovering, they tried so to speak to associate European and Latin language, but they realized that it was somewhat complicated due to the difference with Latin and European. And with this, I could finish in my presentation, and that's all. Good afternoon.